Griz. So early on in the season, my first takeaway from this game is early on I kept saying Coach Houck is out here playing poker with the Griz. There's a mystery at quarterback. We didn't know what was going on. Was it Vidlac? Was it McDowell? The NAU loss happened. I was very critical of this coaching staff and their lack of continuity on offense. And I'll be the first to admit, I was wrong. They had a method to their madness all along. And I think one thing I repeated on this show throughout the ups and the downs early in the season, Coach Houck has a few tricks on his sleeve. He kind of has that Bill Belichick, Nick Saban mindset where he's going to tell you as little as he needs to tell you heading up to the game. He wants to keep his game plan on lockdown. And they deserve a lot of credit because they pulled this out of nowhere. Nobody expected this team to turn around and win a Big Sky championship. But like myself and most of Griz Nation, Griz fans, Montana sports fans, that NAU loss, whether you're a Bobcat or a Griz fan, everyone was looking at Montana like they were dead in the water. And then all of a sudden, this coaching staff and these players really put it together. So they got Big Sky championship, Brawl the Wild bragging rights, and for the first time since 2009. So overall, just want to give this coaching staff and players credit. I'll admit I was wrong, and it just felt like Coach Houck, despite the lack of continuity earlier in the season, they were saving it for when it mattered most, this stretch run of elite playoff teams who they went out and they beat every single one. They beat Idaho, they beat Montana State, and they beat Sac State. So at the end of the day, you might lose to NAU. You might not have your full deck of cards. They were holding a couple tricks till later. It was for a reason. Number 2, Clifton McDowell deserves to have his name in the conversation for Big Sky Offensive Player of the Year. The former Central Arkansas Bear and Louisiana Raging Cajun and played some community college ball, is a flat-out playmaker at the quarterback position. According to his profile on the Grizzlies football website, McDowell's a senior, but he has an extra year of eligibility, so he should be back in the driver's seat again next year for the University of Montana. And if he is, the Griz are poised to re-cement themselves as a top-tier Big Sky power after a few years of Montana State and Sac State running the show. So takeaway number 2, Clifton McDowell's the real deal, and having him back sets the Grizzlies up for success moving into next year as well. Of course, let's focus on the playoffs, but he played out of his mind in that Brawl of the Wild, and he deserves a lot of credit for helping this team turn their season around. Number 3 takeaway, this is more of a stat just to show how dominant the Griz defense has been down the stretch. But over the last 4 games, they shut out Northern Colorado, held Sac State to a touchdown. Portland State scored 10 points, and they closed out the season by holding a Montana State offense that has been flat-out prolific the last few years to a touchdown. So in those games, the Grizzlies have outscored their opponents Yeah, that was a Montana State team, I wanted to add a little context here. Had put up 102 points in their prior 2 games heading into the Brawl of the Wild, so they were rolling. So that's 4 games total for this Griz defense. The stat I was leading up to, 24 points allowed total in 4 games, 2 of those being playoff teams. Grizzlies defense has been absolutely dominant. You can't say enough about it, and a lot of credit to first-year defensive coordinator Ronnie Bradford on getting this thing locked down and on point after the NAU loss, because they have flat out looked like the best unit in the country